What up, naughty steppers? It's Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel. And it is time for the final yearly favourites video of 2018 as I bring you my top 25 EPs in bass music from the last 12 months. This is it, guys, the big one. Another massive year for EPs in dark electronic music, and it's time to tell you which ones I feel were the best. Again, couple of rules to run through before I get properly going here. One entry per artist once more, which I would say is more problematic with this list than any other. Several producers here came out with multiple very good EPs in 2018. I'm also including short compilations up to 6 tracks, so obviously one EP per label as well, and one artist or producer can be a part of one of those compilations as well as have their own EP on the list. Gonna quickly blitz through a few special mentions to start off with, and then work downwards from 25 to 1, talking about them more and more as I go on to reflect their positioning on the list. Lastly, this is solely my opinion. One opinion, I am giving no objective views here. It's about how they make me feel, my favourites of 2018, those that I've enjoyed most out of the hundreds of EPs I've heard this year. So feel free to voice all of your thoughts, views and opinions on all of my views, thoughts and opinions in the comments section down below. Which is the best part. I want to hear what you guys have to say on the best dark electronic music of this year. As always, let's get some good conversation going. On that note, if you're yet to check out my other yearly favourites videos from this year, they'll be linked in the description down below, this video and the outro as well, so check them out if you haven't already. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time we got cracking on with this final list, and we start with the special mentions for the best EPs of 2018. So the special mentions are Deafmind and Lil Clark with Flexin', Death Pact with Cypher 1, Emperor with Bloodsport, Eptic with Anti-Human, Except with Stronger, Poseidon with Rising Tide, Similar Outskirts with Horology, and Subtronics with Wook Laser. Coming in at number 25, we have an EP of immense sound design, an extremely earthy, mechanical project spanning multiple dark electronic music genres, and that's Engine Block by Audeca. In all honesty, this thing is slightly too long for me, but it deserves a place on the list for the aforementioned design alone, so vivid and guttural and rich. A must listen in that respect. At number 24, we have one of the most intricately assembled, feathery drum and bass EPs I laid my ears on this year, and that's Unity from QZB. A genre, of course, renowned for its stark attention to detail generally, delicate, as I said, yet still dark in essence. Highly recommend to anyone remotely interested in drum and bass music. At number 23, we have one of my favourite mid-tempo EPs of the year, seriously gripping at its highest points, and that's The Dancing Plague by I Am Sid. Put simply, just a really good EP if you're wanting to get into the mid-tempo genre a little more. A really solid representation of what the genre offers across its 4 tracks. At number 22, we have my favourite of Basics' 4 EPs released this year. For me, the most adventurous and ambitious of those, and that's the second one, Ignition. This guy has some of the best sound design in dubstep, no question, amazingly sharp and refined, and Ignition is the best exhibition of that. Massively underrated and excited to see what 2019 has in store for him. At number 21, we have an EP that took me a fair few listens to fully appreciate, one of my favourite house EPs of the year, and that's Shift Key with Bite. Originally, I wasn't too keen on the drops here, but their effective construction has won me over time. Lots of memorable moments here too, extremely catchy, proper solid. Getting into the top 20 now, and we have one of the most quirky and interesting EPs I heard this year, of the experimental trap variety, and that's Astral by Itchy. I just absolutely love the tribal, ritualistic vibe running through this thing, all the different effects and sounds that come together to create these amazing, animalistic, jungly atmospheres. Not of the utmost quality production-wise, but the ideas are so brilliant, completely unique, unlike anything else I heard this year. Very good EP. Following on from that, we have my favourite drum and bass EP of the year, quite something considering how many of them I heard, and that's The Cascade by Mozzie. I think for the most part with this EP, it's the energy I can't get enough of. There are some very good tracks here, New Age and In the Night in particular. The other three not quite living up to that standard, but every track, ideas aside, does get me pretty pumped and fired up, and I really enjoy it for that alone. Love the colourful grunginess of his style. More brilliance from Mozzie on many fronts. At number 18, we have someone whose music I feel deserves way more credit and recognition for how good it is. One of the most underrated in dubstep, and that's Jarvis with Feel the Fire. This thing just sticks in the mind. So many moments here across all 5 tracks that make it not only very identifiable as his, but also give the project as a whole a very strong replay factor. 2017 was more fruitful for him in my opinion, but that's not to say that this doesn't rank alongside his best previous stuff. A lot of impactful material here, imperative listening if you're yet to hear it. At number 17 we have another mid-tempo leaning EP, and I would say my favourite of that genre from this year, and that's Aureum by Kencode. Not the super heavy, outright darkness you'd usually associate with the genre, but more inviting and alluring, at points uplifting and feel good even. It appeals to many different moods across the 4 tracks. Whether it's melodies, vocals, or samples here, each track has its really sticky moments as well. Just something so likeable about this project. Something I shall be returning to a decent amount in the future. At number 16 we have an EP from one of trap's finest, the qualities of which I realised more and more with each listen, and that's Eliminate with Reload. This is Eliminate in his absolute element, ridiculously well cut, high-def production with a maddening attention to detail, space and timing. The musicality of it is really spot on as well. No track of his 3 here that I love entirely from start to finish, but several fantastic snippets in each one, more than enough of that remarkable quality to make it fully deserving of its spot here. At number 15 we have an EP that, quite frankly, I didn't expect to be anywhere near this list before getting into it, and that's Spicy Noodles by Flavor D. A collection that treads the lines between house and bassline. Adore the vibe she creates here, really infectious energy in all 3 tracks that doesn't let up from beginning to end. Proper naughty beats that are very easy to get into, one of those that instantly has me bopping and grooving along to it. Cheeky and lots of fun. A wonderful EP. At number 14, we have one of the most unforgiving and brutal EPs of 2018, plain and simple, and that's Precognition by Odd Prophet. Mr. Tobias Joseph putting his own spin on the tear-out style of dubstep here, with 4 very in-your-face, ravenous, near uncontrollable tracks that leave quite the mark on you. Establishing a clear theme throughout with the synth usage, great vocal samples as well, and all very finely put together. Very, very good from the Welshman. At number 13, we have my pick of the 2 EPs released by Guillotine this year. Another project full of many memorable moments, and that's Chopper. Every time I listen to this thing, I find myself singing or humming along to every tune note for note. That's the level of catchy and memorable we're talking about here. With my 2 favourite tracks of his from this year in there, in Chopper and Yoitoi, but parts to every one that I really hang on and am likely to remember well into the future. Taking the number 12 spot, we have someone who I still cannot quite believe is doing the things he's doing at his young age, and that's Mastodon with Decimate. Generally, I must say I don't enjoy this as much as past material of his ideas-wise, but it's still got that mighty, gargantuan Mastodon feel to it that makes it an undoubted go-to pick for this list. Everything there is to like about his style is here pretty much, with a couple of experiments across the 4 tracks, more top draw stuff from him. There really is no stopping this guy on his path to success. At number 11, we have my favourite multi-producer EP of the year, which comes from the bass house-oriented Gold Digger label, and that's Volume 26. It's very rare that you get an EP featuring multiple producers, where you really enjoy the thing in its entirety. Every track here I love in some way or another. Quite simply, 4 very playful, full of life tracks, founded upon drop ideas full of flavour, spice and character. Another in the list of EPs I can't help but feverishly move along to. Breaking into the top 10 now, and we have an EP that some may be surprised I've put in this list at all, let alone this high, and that's Panda Eyes with Isolation. I know this wasn't for some, but I find there's so much to enjoy here. A good mix of heavy and light across the 4 tracks, with some really sweet, well-constructed ideas on show here. Dipping into several genres in the process, from dubstep to breakbeat and bits of trap here and there, giving off so much personality and good feeling along the way. More than anything though, I like the journey that it takes, snaking through all these different emotions with the track listing being spot on. For me, massively underrated EP, and in the top 10 this year. At number 9, it's an EP that went very under the radar, a producer taking his sound in a completely different direction, and that's Midnight Tyrannosaurus with The Underworld. I'm not gonna lie, Midnight T's main dubstep style has for me become a bit repetitive over the years, so to hear him go down this deep dub route was extremely refreshing. And I think he does it really well, still got the eerie as fuck vocal samples, but they're delivered through this much more daunting, unsettling lens. Oh, it's just so good. The general patience here in assembling these tracks, softly pulsating and threatening in the most evil fashion. As I said, very refreshing and up there with the best I've ever heard from him. Coming in at number 8, we have an EP that I find to be super impressive in a lot of ways, and that's Choral by Monuman. There's so much on offer with these 6 tracks, from stuff sounding like Moody Good to stuff of the noisier variety, another that taps into a wide array of different moods throughout, with full-on dark and atmospheric stuff full of reflection, but also more uplifting, chirpier beats as well. It really runs the full gamut of tones from start to finish. If you want to hear something of true sonic quality that puts your mind into gear and makes you feel a whole load of different ways, then this one is for you. At number 7, we have undoubtedly the most somber and thought-provoking EP on this list, a very moving listen, and that's Direct with One. I talked earlier this week in my top 20 albums video about how Origins by Vacant had a seriously profound impact on me, and I can say the exact same with this project. Very soothing, melancholic, garagey original dubstep that takes you outside your own body and gives you a third-person perspective on your life. Music for self-observation. Time-stopping in its nature and so subtly powerful, gets you right in the feels in this simple, controlled way, one that will live long in the memory, no question. At number 6, we have my favourite of 3 EPs from a producer who has had a crazily good last 12 months, and that's Chime with Experience Points. Harvey Thompson's incredibly vibrant and textured video game-inspired melodic dubstep has taken the scene by storm in 2018, and it was close between this one and Featherweight, but for me, Experience Points takes it, simply because it has one more excellent track on it. Amazing musicality, great mixture of sparkly and ferocious, audacious ideas. Love seeing him get this level of recognition, and I hope it continues into 2019 and beyond. Going into the top 5 now, and it's another dubstep artist who for me is massively underrated, and this EP is just fantastic, and that's Ultimate by Trinity. On an ideas level, I don't think we got a better EP this year. I've talked already about other projects having very memorable moments, but this one takes that to another level. And moreover, there are many more of them than in the previously mentioned collections. Such an extraordinary individuality to this thing, so confident and free-spirited in its direction. Funnily enough, I wouldn't actually say that I love any of the tracks completely from beginning to end, but the moments make it stand head and shoulders above almost every other dubstep release this year. Incorporating the bright, dark, scenic and full throttle all into one massive whirlwind 5-track journey, the most enjoyable EP experience I've had this year, bar none. At number 4, we have someone who has completely flipped the bass game on its head this year in excelling in the freeform bass genre, and that's Peekaboo with Imposters. Again, had a very difficult time choosing between 2 EPs here, Maniac the other project in question, but I'm going for Imposters simply because it's the first I ever heard of him, by which I'm commenting on how big an impact these fat, frazzling down-tempo beats had on me on that inaugural listen. I also find it to be simpler than Maniac and so more effective. Telling a story of alien destruction on Earth through each track, so imagistic and real, at times pretty intense and others less full on, but always painting that picture of terror. Just absolutely love this style. Said this the other day, but a lot of people have tried their hand at it and had nothing on Peekaboo's exceptional execution. Cannot wait to see what 2019 has in store for him. Taking the bronze medal, it's someone whose music I've taken to in a big way this year, a pretty drastic change in appreciation from 2017, and that's Sudden Death with Junk World. Now, I can hear the cries for Void Volume 1 already, but honestly, I think it pales in comparison when it comes to having well-rounded, holistic tracks, which Junk World has in abundance. It's quite the experience, as some of you may know, not enjoying an artist's music too much, and then being suddenly blown away by something from them when you didn't expect it at all. These tunes are forceful, emphatic and purposeful, full of drive and ingenuity, delivering wildly different kinds of energy, all through that jaw-droppingly meaty graphic design of his. Each track getting you in its own kind of way, with riveting drops across the board and a whole load of inviting melodies and neatly built structures. It really does fire on all cylinders. Even though Castles is my favourite track of the year, the Junk World project is Danny Howland most in full flow over the course of an EP in his beastly element. At number 2, we have someone who I would say is very much a fixture when it comes to best EP lists of every year, and that's Virtual Riot with German Engineering. Yeah, it's pretty much a given by this point that Mr. Valentin Brunn will come out with a huge EP every year, and 2018 certainly didn't disappoint on that front. This is another project full of amazing ideas from him, lots of variety in ranging from rhythm to bro step, jump up and chill step. The vocal sample usage is unmatched this year. Some properly iconic moments in here as well. The grand intro to Pray for Rhythm, the demonic vocal in Chop Chop, the whole of Show Up with Virus Syndicate, to name but a few. Some of the dubstep slightly lacking ideas-wise comparatively, but fundamentally it's just so classy in its construction and ambition. Loads going on as per with him, but it's all so well packaged. Said this before, but there's a lot we take for granted with Virtual Riot. So much skill, technicality, and shrewdness is involved in making these songs sound as weighty and rich as they do. Yet another very good EP from him, a real journey across its 21-minute runtime. Would anyone be able to deny he's one of the greats of the modern dubstep era? I think not. And at number 1, my favourite EP in dark electronic music from this year. As with the albums, you probably will have guessed by deduction which one it is. Of course, it's Overdrive by Space Laces. Ian Slider's debut EP, I think it's fair to say, completely shook the dubstep world this year. I honestly don't think we'll get so much hype surrounding a single dubstep project ever again. A long-awaited collection sprung upon his fans, arguably the most loyal and devout of any in the genre, which very much lived up to the hype in a multitude of ways. This EP is what everyone involved in dubstep in any way needed, be it listeners, other producers, and more. The world stopped with this project, and Slider took his chance to impress and satisfy very well. Overdrive is perfect as an exhibition of his style, electrifying, frazzled, mind-melting sound design, with both its bigger moments and more toned down ones. Huge touch of the epic about it, showing us exactly what he's about across his 5 exhilarating, scintillating tracks. Weirdly enough, I don't think I enjoy it as much as a few other EPs on this list, but it's just an extraordinary thing to hear this blindingly industrial, rip-roaring, vibrant aesthetic across an entire EP, something, lest we forget, many thought would never see the light of day. The mere fact that Overdrive is a thing in itself gives it the acclaim and praise beyond the music. Its statement-making appeal is what makes it deserving of its number 1 spot for me, especially considering what he's gone through in the past as well. To have come out with something of this quality was beyond the dreams of many, a moment in dubstep history that I think we'll look back on as a watershed one for the genre in future times. And so that is that, guys, for the final video in the 2018 Yearly Favourite series, my top 25 EPs of the year. Thank you very much, and as always, for tuning in. Be sure to leave a comment with your thoughts on my list, but also with your favourite EPs of 2018. Did I miss any out in your eyes? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hitting the notification bell along the way. If you'd like links to my other yearly favourites videos from this year, my top remixes, albums and singles of 2018, there'll be a link next to my head somewhere to find them. Don't forget to like and follow Nawtystep across social media if you haven't already, all of which is linked, including my favourites from every EP mentioned here, in a little SoundCloud playlist in the description box down below. And lastly, if it's naughty, then you know, guys, so be sure as always to keep it naughty and stay safe. And also wishing all of you the most merry of Christmases. I shall see you in the next one, which will be my final video of 2018, just before the end of this year. Peace out.